Senator Pauline Tully, 4 minutes, please.
And good morning, and you're very welcome. As a former teacher in a school, I do very much appreciate the work that both secretaries and caretakers do in the school, and the amount, I suppose, the people that know everybody on the ground. They know every child in the school, they know what's going on, and often the ones you go to find out what is actually going on. I thought in an ETB school, am I right in saying that there's a discrepancy between the pay and conditions between you and the teachers and SNAs in the school, but there's also a discrepancy between the different types of schools? So you could be doing the same job in one school and somebody else doing the same job in another school, but the patronage is different, so the pay and conditions are different.
Yes, I'll ask maybe Louisa to expand on this, but you're correct, Senator, that if you apply for a job and it's in an ETB school, you are a public servant. You have public service conditions and access to public service pensions. That's 10% of our schools, where the patron is the ETB administers the schools. In 90% of schools, the Board of Management is the employer and you're not a public servant, but you're doing exactly the same work. Louisa, do you want to expand on that?
Like the work across the board as a school secretary is exactly the same. But like the ETB way it's done, it's you're immediately you're a public servant. We had a member who was ancillary paid, moved overnight to ETB school, and like that, she's got all the terms and conditions, pensions, bereavement leave, sick leave. She's got everything. Even in the group that we are working with here, we have 2 secretaries working in the one school. One of them is a department appointed and paid through a grant and so on into the school. The other one is now moved over to the department payroll. They are working in the same office, doing the exact same work. One has bereavement leave, has pension, has everything, and the girl right beside her in the same office has 0 of that. She has none of that. So the disparity is it's within schools, but with the ETBs, they're on a different level to us altogether, even though we are doing the exact same work.
So if pay and conditions can be granted to one sector,
yes,
it makes absolutely no sense why they aren't granted to all. And like we're talking about work, full employment. I mean, is retention and recruitment has to be an issue when conditions are so poor, are they?
Yeah. So there's caretakers around the country who would go into the job, and after 2 years they say we can't do this anymore because you're not getting paid for the summer holidays, you're not getting paid for the Christmas holidays. So they're going off and finding different jobs. At the moment, to work in Aldi is a better paid job than to be a school caretaker. And we do the hours that we do in schools. You might be contracted for a 39-hour week. My average week over the last
here for me, I'd say
6 weeks because of the summer holidays coming in, like all the teachers changing classrooms and stuff. I was averaging anywhere in between 45 to 50 hours.
So and you're going above and beyond. Even
and all we were getting was time and lieu because there's no overtime rate there. It's the same thing as between each school, what the rate is for overtime. And in my school, it's time and lieu.
I know it's a month, you could say, since the strike action was called, or since the results of the ballot were made public. And I know there was an engagement in the Shannon on the 18th of June with statements on education. And I would have raised this issue. I would have raised, and I was told by the Minister that there would be engagement within the coming weeks. But you're telling me there has been no engagement whatsoever, which is very disappointing.
Yes, Senator. We met the Minister. We would meet the Minister on just through routine engagements. We haven't met specifically on this issue, but each time we've met the Minister since she was appointed, she has told us she would like to see this issue resolved and she wants to be as helpful as she can be. And I believe that's a genuine commitment that she's making. However, it's not within the gift of the Minister for Education and Youth to determine policy on public sector pay and pensions. That responsibility rests elsewhere. So I'm not, when I say there's been no engagement, I am in no way being critical of the current Minister nor the department, because it's not up to them.
Yeah. I know. Okay, thank you,
Senator. That was a very interesting, I think a lot of jaws dropped when we heard the disparity with ETB. Just for the benefit of the committee, as it was an important issue you raised there, could you tell the entire committee per pay cycle or annually what that difference ETB versus in the school secretary sense now, what that disparity looks like pay-wise in figures, if you have it to hand?
Well, the disparity is mainly now due to the fact that if you're employed by an education and training board as a clerical officer and you're assigned as a secretary in a school, you've got a 52-week contract. if you're employed in the independent school sector by a school board of management, invariably most secretaries are employed during term time only. So the gap in wages is that you're earning maybe 12 or 14 weeks less in terms of salary than your ETB counterpart. So the pay gap is anywhere between 30 to 40%. The hourly rate is now coming together. It's nearly the same because everyone is on the same pay scale. But the difference in pay relates to the lack of a 52-week contract.
Adding to Deputy Works' proposal, our committee, I think our committee should ask the department for the kind of history as to how they got to that point where there was an ETB clerical pay scale versus those left outside. I think that, look, there's the big issue we're talking about, but that issue there, I think, is that's woeful. That is too. Look, we'll move on. So next is